The St. Louis Cardinals just finished off a series win against the Philadelphia Phillies on Sunday afternoon, 7-0 thrashing of Zach Wheeler and the Phillies bullpen. Cardinals offense really got it going again today, and overall for the series, mixed results, but again, got the job done. The Cardinals pitching looked a lot better in a series against one of the best lineups, if not possibly the best lineup in all of baseball. We're going to give you all of our thoughts and more from a great Matthew Liberatore start. Wilson Contreras' bat heating up. Jordan Walker power. JJ Weatherholt 4 straight multi-hit games. It's a lot of fun stuff to talk about on this episode of Dealing the Cards. Man, this is baseball, right? You can one episode be like, oh, the sky is falling, and was it all facade? Are they even any good? And then the next, it's like, wow, you just took 2 of 3 from a lot of people picked to win the World Series this year. It's clearly one of the best teams in baseball. Now, I don't think either of us today are going to act like the Cardinals are in the same class as the Phillies. But again, we talked about this last episode, the things that you're looking for from this team right now, the performances of the young bats, the young pitching, like a Matthew Liberatore when he's on the mound. And as a team overall, like, do you look totally overmatched by a team like the Phillies, or can you at least stay in games, right? And I think there's a lot to like from the series, even though they dropped one of the games, which we can talk about. That was a little bit frustrating how all that went down with Christopher Sanchez, and the lineup struggles with double play balls on Saturday. But again, overall, Cardinals come through with a series victory over the Philadelphia Phillies after a tough road stretch where they won 1-5. Now they're 2 games back in the NL Central. They're technically sitting in 4th place right now, but they're half a game back at the Reds, and I think just 1.5 games back of the Brewers for second or something like that. So there's so many directions we could go, but Andrew, where do you want to start from the series? What's the first thing that's kind of catching your eyes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the young pitching has looked really good, right? And we talked about how we wanted to see all of these young hitters get opportunities, and that's what's happening so far. And I would like to see some of the guys in AAA get some more run. I know Quinn Matthews hasn't been amazing down there, but McGreevy, I feel like, has earned his roster spot, and Miles Michaelis hasn't, but Miles Michaelis is being paid. But anyway, we saw 2 really good performances from Andre Pallante and Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really looking at for this series. Liberatore had 2 okay-ish starts. Like, he wasn't like great in either of them, but it was also pretty serviceable for your 5th starter,
Yeah.
I would say. So seeing him shut down the Phillies lineup for 6 innings today was very encouraging to see. Was it 6 or 7? I think it was 6.
He went 6.
It was just 6. But then to see Pallante throw 7 scoreless innings against the same lineup, I thought was also really encouraging. Just 2 guys that can be in your rotation going forward and be cheap options that the Cardinals have kind of failed to develop, right? So if Pallante is a solid like 3rd or 4th starter, if Liberatore is a good 5th starter, then you can go out and if, say, Quinn Matthews develops into a solid number 2 starter next year, then you really have a solid rotation of homegrown guys, which is what we wanted to see, and it gives them more opportunity to go out and sign that frontline starter next year instead of signing like 2 Kyle Gibsons or a Kyle Gibson and a Lance Lynn, which I think is something that's really important for them. That is something to continue to watch. I think Liberatore just bought himself a lot more run in the rotation. Unfortunately, I think Miles Michaelis probably bought himself an extra star or 2 as well, because even though he gave up 3 runs, I think 2 of those would not have scored if the umpire was able to see the ball. But he looked better. I'll give him credit where that's where he deserves it. But at the end of the day, we should not be. We shouldn't really be running Miles Michaelis out there every 5th day anymore, is what I think. He only went 5 innings yesterday as well, but like the pitching overall has just looked a lot better in this series. And the lineup, I feel like there's some guys that have kind of slowed down a little bit. I think Nootbaar is hitting a little bit of a cold stretch, but Wilson Contreras is hitting the ball really well now. He had a big home run today and allowed out and a double. So really good to see that coming from him after everyone was calling for him to be lower in the lineup. And I guess it worked, right? Like, they put him lower in the lineup, and then he seems to have found something. So I'm really excited to see that. And yeah, they're starting a 6-man rotation this week, which includes Steven Matz, which should not include Steven Matz, but whatever. Is this the week where they go like 14 days without an off day or something?
Yeah.
That is unfortunate, and hopefully they can survive that stretch. I haven't looked at the schedule past the Houston series. I don't know if they're facing a lot of tough competition. I would imagine not, because I don't think they've faced some of those better teams until later in the year. But I know they have the Brewers, who have been an interesting team to kind of keep an eye on, but and maybe the Mets as well. Maybe I'm just spitballing, but
Yeah,
I
they got the Astros, Mets, Braves next, which obviously the Braves have been kind of scuttling.
Braves have been really bad.
Yeah. So we'll see how they're playing by the time they end up facing them. But yeah, I mean, obviously last was the last episode that I trashed on Miles Michael. Was that 2 episodes ago now? I think it was last episode.
I think it's every episode.
I mean, really went off. I mean, obviously we know because it had to be Sundays. So it was 2 ago. Obviously, like none of us want to watch the Miles Michaelis experience anymore, but there's also the frustrating reality that Quinn Matthews just is not there right now, and you don't want to pull that guy up to St. Louis right now. I'm not worried about him long term yet, but at the same time, you're not going to pull him up here right now. Michael McGreevy's been pretty good, but not like stellar down there either. And the problem if you go with McGreevy and DFA Michaelis is then you do run out of options if for some reason someone gets hurt and they're not ready. But you do have Steven Matz there. So again, I'd rather see it happen, but I'd be flabbergasted if you had both of those guys performing right now, but you don't. So it is really nice to see Matthew Liberatore pitch well today. And I love this from Ryan Graber first. Thanks for the donation there. Really appreciate it. We try to answer we all try to answer a lot of questions, but like donations, especially, but see enough to give us the ring. Yeah. You love to see that. Specifically on Matthew Liberatore today, back in camp, I talked about how I was really excited about the potential of Matthew Liberatore having an opportunity in the rotation, not because I was like, oh, he's for sure ready to break out as a starting pitcher and be an awesome player for you. But it's like, man, in a transition year like this, would you rather see Matthew Liberatore get 15, 20 starts to see what happens, or Miles Michaelis or Steven Matz? Like, I'd much rather see Matthew Liberatore, because if he flames out as terrible, it's like, okay, I just highly doubt that's going to make him a worse reliever long term, right? You're not really, in my opinion, hurting anything. And again, if this was about wins and losses, then they would probably treat him like they have in past years, where it's kind of a short leash, and we've seen what that's done for his development. But if you can get a guy like that in this rotation who, when he's right, which hasn't been consistent enough in a rotation, which I'll talk about that in a second, he's shown the ability to be like awesome, not just like a number 5 starter, but like shutting down the Philadelphia Phillies lineup and going 8 shutout innings against the Tampa Bay Rays 2 years ago, I believe. Like, he's got that ability. He just, again, the 2 glaring issues with him for so long is when you put him in the rotation, when you ask him to do longer stints, the velocity doesn't stick. And that's a problem with his fastball, because in and of itself, it's not like the best pitch in the world. And so when it's not playing up with the velocity that he can have on it, it's really hittable. And you put that at the fact that he struggles mightily with right-handed pitchers, especially when that fastball is not playing. And you're going to face, right-handed hitters, not pitchers. And you're going to face how many right-handed hitters in a lineup? Like, you just can't get by being that terrible against right-handed pitching or right-handed hitting. And guess who was the same story a few years ago? Andre Pallante, where this dude, when he was in a rotation's fastball, just got beat up time and time again, and he was really good against lefties as a right-handed pitcher, but he could not get righties out. I remember, I love that I'm wrong on it. When he first joined the Cardinals rotation last year, his first 2 or 3 starts, opposing hitters were hitting like Ted Williams off him. Ted Williams, like that was like their slash. Right-handed hitters were hitting like that off him. It's like, you can't face 6 hitters in a lineup who have a slash line similar to Ted Williams off you. You just can't get by with that. And that's like Matthew Liberatore when he's facing right-handed hitters typically. But when he's playing up like today, this dude's dynamic. And I do wonder, again, you have different development staff coming in and people working with him, so that could definitely be helping him. But there's also this stint where it's like, name me one time, which it's rhetorical, but also if you can think of an example, please do. Like, name me one time where Matthew Liberatore has been brought up into this rotation since he's been acquired by the Cardinals and given like a legitimate runway. Because most of the time he's been called up, it's like, oh, we're missing, like, we need a starter badly. And so we're going to throw Matthew Liberatore in the rotation. If it doesn't work out, they pulled him out quick, or it was because someone was injured. And so he got 2 starts and came back out. Like, he's never really had this extended run. Now, again, he hasn't earned it with with the performances in the rotation necessarily. But I do wonder if it, like, when you come into a rotation and you're kind of struggling and you haven't really found your footing, and some guys, I don't know, some guys thrive off of opportunities like that, others maybe don't. I wonder if Liberatore is one of the kind of guys where it's like, hey, he knows that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. Not every start could be his last start. Like, if today didn't go well, guess who's pitching again in 5 or I guess 6 days now? Matthew Liberatore. He's in this rotation. That doesn't mean if he struggles that he will be in it in July necessarily, but there's something different about like, hey, I've got like 1-2 months of cushion here versus like, I don't know if I'll be in Memphis tomorrow if this goes poorly. And so I think going and pitching that kind of confidence allows him to try things out, experiment a little bit, it really work on his craft and not just be in survival mode. And I wonder if that's really helping him out right now. So I'm not here to tell you at all. Like, I would not be shocked at all. And honestly, I'd probably bet against the Matthew Liberatore thing working out still, at least him being like a long-term option for you. But man, you got to keep trying it right now, because if he pops and he's like Andre Pallante from last year, that is a huge, huge development for this team. As much as he's been an awesome bullpen arm, he is far more valuable to you, even as a number 4 or 5 starter, let alone I think he has the ability to play up above Andre Pallante a little bit here. And again, I love Quinn Matthews. I love Taco Roby, Cooper Jerpy, Michael McGreevy, Tink Hens, guys like this. But I mean, you know, from watching a team out on the West Coast, you can never have enough pitching. Cardinals fans should know this. You can never have enough pitching. And I mean, you've got Sonny Gray at the top of the rotation right now, but Eric Fetty's off the books after this year. So is Steven Matz. So is Miles Michaelis. They're going to need depth options. They're going to need legitimate 5 options going forward. Maybe Matthew Liberatore is one of those guys. Are you like, after today's start and how he's looked early this season, are you like, you're pretty confident in Matthew Liberatore at this point? Or are you just like, hey, I like that he's getting these opportunities. Let's see more. Because that's where I'm at.
I don't know. Like, there's certain things with his velocity that are interesting to monitor. Like, I think today he was down at like 92, 91 later in the game, but with the fastball. So that's still something that I'm a little bit concerned about, but he seems to be effective against some of these like good lineups, right? Like, I don't think it was good against Boston, or no, Pittsburgh. It wasn't particularly great. But against the Angels, it was like fine for a while. And then I think some of those inherited runners scored later in that game. But
yeah,
I mean, I understand why they're giving him the run over McGreevy, because I think Liberatore has a higher upside as a starter, but I also think he has like a lower floor where,
yeah,
like, you kind of know what you're going to get out of McGreevy. Probably his ceiling and floor is probably around the same area of like a Kyle Gibson type. But with Liberatore, he has the stuff to develop into a legitimate starter, middle rotation, borderline front end type starter if the velocity stays during his starts, and if he is able to neutralize right-handed hitters, which I think he's done a little bit better at recently. And most of the Phillies top hitters are lefties, so that I think helps with Harper and Schwarber. So I think that definitely helped him today get some of those guys out.
yeah,
but
for sure.
It definitely is interesting to monitor, and I'm not completely sold on the idea of him as a starter, because he is that good in the bullpen against lefties. You bring him in for those lefties that are so dangerous in other teams' lineups. But I mean, so far he's given me no reason to want to pull him from the rotation. And the results have been pretty respectable. Although I think some of the underlying metrics indicate that maybe a little bit of good luck, but he's also working on things. This is the first real run he's had as a starter. This is his 3rd start of the season, so I'm not too worried about a lot of those yet.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, Cleveland's making a good point in the chat about how the Phillies are kind of in a slump right now. But at the same time, like, again, this is an incredible lineup and it's early in the year. And I just think, like, we might remember that right now, but then like the end of the season, like you're not going to go back and like go through all these different starts, be like, oh, this team was in a slump that day, this team wasn't. Like at the end of the day, you need to perform when you need to perform. It's sure that's good context, and that's why I don't think any of us should be running with this of like Matthew Liberatore is an ace or Matthew Liberatore is for sure started all the year. It's like great start today. You got to keep going. You got to keep proving it. It doesn't mean if he blows up next start, we should just throw this out too. But it's like, hey, what can he stack over 9, 12, 15 starts? And then you start to get a sample size because to Cleveland's point, it's like, well, you could face the Phillies one day and their offense is awful. Like they're just all in a funk. And then you can face the White Sox the next day. And for some reason, they're all just feeling it that day and they tee off on you. And it's like, well, yeah, the White Sox teed off on you, but they're all kind of on a heater in that moment. And so it's just like, okay, let's see the sample size over time, and you'll start to then that'll start to bear out and give you more of a example. To your point, it's like, okay, if Liberatore doesn't work out as a starter, he's an incredible option out of the bullpen against left-handed hitters. Today, that slider was just filthy against lefties. He's just getting Schwarber, Harper, Stott, like all of them swinging and missing constantly. And again, that's a huge weapon in the rotation, but the worst case scenario, it's a weapon out of that bullpen too. So you love to see that. I do want to talk about the Cardinals offense. And I mean, we can talk about some JJ Weatherholt today too, because I was kind of holding my breath for a little bit, being like, man, he's like 0 for 10 to start the year. And then he's really gotten hot to start. But let's thank a couple of sponsors of the podcast before we continue on with that. As always, we want to thank 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles for just their awesome sponsorship and support of our podcast. They've been sponsoring us for a while now, and many of you check them out. Maybe Andrew might rip a pack from them on today, this two-way Mason win card. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard and all of that. They're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. So you can buy the new selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. You got to go check them out. They're awesome. Many of you already do that. We get DMs and messages from you guys all the time who've been in there. If you're in the chat right now listening, let us know if you've been to 314, and make sure anytime you check them out, let them know that Deal in the Card sent you, because they're good friends of ours. Are you ripping a pack today, or we got no packs ripping?
My packs are not here with me.
I'll
have them next
time. Next time. You pulled that really cool McGreevy card.
Yeah, that was fun. Maybe they should call him up and DFA Miles Michaelis, but that's
okay. We'll see.
Or cut Miles Michaelis, whatever the proper terminology is.
If you want to win some free money, you should definitely pick the lower on Miles Michaelis strikeouts most games, except for last game. And we can tell you about a partner we have on this podcast who allows you to do that in Underdog Sports. The Deal in the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. Yeah, you can use that promo code CARDS on the screen now, or click the link in the bio. And click the link in the bio to download Underdog Sports. Use that promo code CARDS again. You get a first free pick'em and a deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You can play baseball, NBA, any sports that are on. It's a fun place to play fantasy sports. Okay, so we'll keep the conversation going. Cardinals offense today, again, 7 runs erupted for that today. Probably the biggest story of the day, though, but I think there's other sub stories that we should talk about this offense, is Willson Contreras, right? He had 2 hits on Saturday, and even then I was like, okay, he looks a little bit better at the plate right now. He's taking better at bats. He's not just swinging at everything thrown outside the zone. Could not pick up the spin. He got the off day on Friday. He got moved to the 3rd spot on Saturday against the lefty, and then he's batting 5th today. And then obviously he hits that bomb off of Zach Wheeler in the 4th inning. 368 feet, but anyway, I'm gonna call it a bomb for what Willson Contreras has been lately. 96.8 off the bat, but I think it was like 110 off the bat or something like that on his double later in the game. I think it's safe to say Willson Contreras is back. I think you don't need a huge sample size from a guy like that to say it, but are you ready to say Willson Contreras is back?
Yeah, I mean, the swings have been looking better over the last week or so, and then I felt like it was only a matter of time before he got one that didn't get caught. And obviously, when you hit it into the stands, that's a pretty good way to guarantee that. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Contreras. Also, like, I don't know, to be totally transparent, like I was never really like paying attention to Contreras at bats because like he's not really part of the future, and I'm looking towards more of those young guys. So,
Mm,
um, still good at bats from a lot of those guys. Walker had a big home run today, which is good. He's been struggling to hit those pulled fly balls, so to see him get a hold of one was really good to see for me. But I mean, some of the guys are taking a little bit of a step back. I think Lars Nootbaar's OPS is down under 800 again, but still not too worried about that. He seems to be taking quality at bats as well and getting on base. I feel like he's gotten hosed on a couple calls too
yeah.
throughout this series. With like I remember there was specifically a full count one yesterday,
Yeah.
which I don't remember. I didn't see the umpire scorecard, but I would imagine the Phillies at least got a free run
Should look at that.
yesterday.
I'm curious because I think we've said this and it's true, but I also still think there's like it might be too much of a generalization that's like, oh, the veterans, whatever they do, it's whatever. But like with someone like Wilson Contreras, he still is under contract for 2 more years and you have a club option for like 17 million 3 years from now, too. And so it's like either like is I mean, the future, like 2 years from now is still pretty far away. It's like he's still a part of your team for at least 2 more seasons after this. Or maybe just 2 more, I'm pretty sure. Or at the very least, it's like, well, this guy could be a trade chip too. Because even if you're like, hey, even if he wants to be here, maybe this offseason, he's like, oh, I'll go somewhere else. Or they want to put Ivan Herrera at first base or Alec Burleson, they want to play there every day. Or Gorm, they want to fit there. It's like, it'd be nice to have some trade value for it not to be a bad contract. And again, we've seen the heights Wilson Contreras can get to offensively, that he can be a true middle of the order bat for you in a way that, I mean, as much as I love Nootbaar and Donovan and some of these other guys in the lineup, I think Herrera is the only guy right now that I'm like, hey, he might be a middle of the order bat. But like Nootbaar is more of maybe a leadoff number 2 guy or like a 5-6 guy in a lineup. Donovan, again, leadoff guy. But you don't really have that middle of the order power. And Wilson Contreras can be that. So you want to see that. Nolan Arenado, it's like, okay, like, again, he's not a huge part of the future, but right now he's got 82 OPS. And it's like, if you want to build a trade that guy, this is going to help a lot. Or again, if he's quote unquote stuck here for a while, I'd like him to not be bad because they're probably going to play him again next year. And maybe the year after is the year they would cut bait. I don't think they're just going to give him up for free. Again, Sonny Gray, it's like you got another year of his contract. And so it's again, if you want to go trade him, you need him to pitch well. Or if you want him, if he's been part of the team next year, it'd be nice if he was good. It's like the 2 I really don't care about at all are Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz. I really still care about Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras. And I mostly care about Nolan Arenado. And then Eric Fetty and Ryan Helter in their weird category of like, if they're bad, you get nothing for them. If they're good, you can get something for them at the deadline. So I still think it's worth watching those things. It's just like in the grand scheme of things, to your point, the thing that the thing we're keeping the most tabs on is Walker, Nootbaar, Donovan, Wynn, Gorm, Herrera, Libby, Pallante, JJ, all those guys, because they're part of 2028, 2029 in the future. Wow, it's really a TBD big time on Contreras, Arenado, these other guys. But it's really nice to see Contreras get going. But again, you saw Nato. Again, he had a 2-hit day for himself today with he smashed a double. Wait, right? He had a double today, right? Arenado, or maybe he just had 2 singles.
Yeah, I think he did.
No, not. Oh yeah, he had a double. He had double
Yeah.
off Wheeler. And then that's when the Contreras home run came after that. I believe, or maybe. Gosh, I can't remember the order of it anymore. But not a swinging a hot bat right now, which is pretty fun to watch. And I think if you're watching this offense as a whole this year, and again, we care more about the young guys, but again, Contreras and Nato play a role in it. One of the ways you can maintain a really good offense is by having 7, 8, 9 different guys who can produce at any time. Because this is baseball where Nootbaar is going to have a week where he's batting 100 and Contreras is going to have a stretch where he's bad. And Nato's going to have a stretch at some point. And Herrera, even when he comes back, he's going to have a stretch where he's just not himself. And you're the good, like what separates great or good and even great offenses from mediocre ones is, do you rely on 1 or 2 hitters to get everything done? Or when Nootbaar's struggling, can Contreras and Arenado produce? And when those 2 are struggling, can Donovan and Burleson produce? Like, you need to have that depth in the lineup. And I think the Cardinals are really starting to show us that this year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, Wilson Contreras was just terrible for the first like 2 weeks of the season, and now, and then they were still hitting the ball really well, and now some of these other guys are starting to take a step back. I think Nootbaar is hitting like 150 or something. His on base is still up over 300, which is kind of crazy for that. But yeah, Contreras is starting to pick it up, and You're seeing Brendan Donovan. I think he started the year kind of slow, and now he's in batting title contention very early in the season, right? So
Woo!
um, there we go. I said he was. Here's the thing, right? Like 2 years ago, like 4 of my 5 bold predictions were that Tyler O'Neill would get MVP votes, Flaherty would get Cy Young votes, Newbar would be an All Star, and Donovan would contend for the batting title, and I was just 2 years
A
off.
little late, yeah.
Just
Or a
2 years,
little early. Sorry, early.
2 years too early. So anyway,
We should really repost that, just like block it out and be like for 2025. But
yeah,
then they'll start slumping. So
yeah. So anyway, I think this lineup, it's like we said before. There's not like a true easy out when everyone's fully healthy. Obviously, not everyone's fully healthy when on the IL, which hopefully I think he said he was fine. So like he'll hopefully be back up soon.
yeah, but even right now, like you have either Donovan at shortstop and Gorm at second base, or you have Sajasi at shortstop and Donovan at second base. And I don't think those Sajasi or Gorm are easy outs.
I mean, like Sajasi has just been hot to start the season. I don't really, I'm not buying into the hype just yet because
but he's a capable hitter at least. Like if he's batting ninth for you, that's better than a lot of ninth hitters. It's not. I'm not trying to sell him as more than that right now.
Right. So like there's not a guy in this lineup that's really been terrible. I'm looking, the only guys with the sub 700 OPS in today's lineup are Burleson and Contreras, but Contreras is whatever. That's just because he was horrible for the first 2 weeks of the year. And I think Wynn had one as well. Like he's sub 700, but that's also because he started off so bad. And I feel like that's mostly sustainable. I feel like Burleson, I expect to get over that. I don't think he's homered yet. There's been a little bit of a power dip in the power numbers, but I'm sure he'll be back up over that. Out of all the hitters in this lineup, I feel like Burleson could probably get over that hump pretty quickly.
It is interesting to watch though, because second half last year that power fell off.
That's true
too. So I agree with you. I think it's coming back, but at the same time, it is something to watch right now, right? But then Jordan Walker's power today, right? 112 off the bat, 394 feet, good launch angle on that one. He pulled that ball to left field. I think we've talked about this a little bit, and in our chats, like we've talked about this, especially with Kareem. It's like the approach at the plate so far, I'm a fan of. And I like that he's been taking his walks, and the strikeouts down slightly, not much, and it's higher than it was in 2023. But he hasn't been barreling the ball. He hasn't been hitting for power, and it's like, okay, with how big of a mess, personally, that's not how everyone feels in our team, I'd say. But personally, with how bad he was last year, both defensively and offensively, I didn't need to see the whole package right away. I needed to see some of this stuff, whether it was, hey, when he does make contact, it's going far and it's high up in the air and it's power, but he needs to figure out the low and away stuff, or what's been mostly this year, except last week was kind of rough for Walker. He hasn't been necessarily fishing for that low and away pitch as much. He's been taking the ball the other way when needed and getting those blue pits or line drives or ground balls in the holes, but he's lacked the power. And today, again, this is one home run, so like we can't be like Walker's got power now. But I mean, we've always known that bat speed's incredible. It's not changed. It's not new news for the new news that's been thrown out there with that. But he barreled that ball today big time, and again, he looks comfortable at the plate, and I think that could be a recipe. And he looks comfortable defensively too. And I do think when you're making constant mistakes in the outfield, that probably weighs on you when you get to the plate too. And so if he can. Again, he's not a Gold Glover. He's not even.
He has 1 out above average this year.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm fine saying he's been average so far. I'm not going to go any further than that.
He's a 60th percentile fielder according to Savant. So
slightly above average potentially, but I'll say average at best right now. But if you're just not a kind of liability, at least that probably helps him at the plate too, where he's not thinking thinking about, oh gosh, I gotta get back out there and hope I don't make a mistake. Or, man, I just made a huge mistake and now I'm at the plate. It's like that probably helps his feel a little bit here too. But and this lineup is so left-handed heavy, and especially without Ivan Herrera, like having Wilson Contreras and Arenado and Walker get going is huge to get that right-handed balance in there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the results haven't quite been there. Don't look at the rest of his Savant page; it's not very pretty. But like his at bats look more comfortable, and it's going to take guys a while, right? And like he looked great at the end of 2023, but that's a smaller sample and also like a year and a half ago at this point. So it will take some time for him to get back there. And hopefully this home run is the start of a hot stretch for him. And I'm not worried about Jordan Walker yet. And definitely not. It's definitely not been bad enough to even send him down to AAA in a contending season like last year. Although I would argue that last year was not really a contending season, but they wanted to treat it like that. And he just seems to be playing more free now, knowing that that he's going to stick on the roster and he's going to start pretty much every day in right field. And like some of the defense has been scary where he like makes a sliding catch after a terrible jump, but hey, at least he's not letting the ball drop in front of him like he was a couple of years ago. So improvements all around.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a variety of other topics we can hit on as we go through too, but I'm just even kind of looking at a live update of how the Cardinals have been doing, both as an totality of offense, runners in scoring position, because I do think these are big markers for them. They're second in average and OBP. They're fourth in slug. They're fourth in OPS as an offense as a whole. With runners in scoring position, they're fourth in batting average, second on base percentage. Oh crap, I messed up the slug. They're sixth in slugging percentage and fourth overall in OPS, and they've driven in the second most runs with runners in scoring position so far. So again, too early to be like the Cardinals offense is for sure a really good offense. I would not go that far. And it's also too early to say this offense is good with runners in scoring position. But I think what we can safely say is that the offense is probably average at least, and I think better than that. And they're not historically bad with runners in scoring position anymore, which again, they somehow won 83 games last year with a historically bad offense with runners in scoring position, which is like how you score runs. And so just helpful for them. I picked them to be 80 and 82 right now. I'd say I'm hovering around that pick still, maybe 2 games above that, maybe 2, like right around 80. I'm not in the Cardinals or a playoff team bandwagon right now, but it's nice to see this right now. Nice to see the offense going. And again, we keep saying it, but you look up and down that lineup, and other than Contreras and Arenado, it's a bunch of young guys. And even with an injury to Ivan Herrera so far and Gorman missing time and Wynn missing time, they're still producing as an offense. And I think that's a test of it too, because you don't get your healthy 9 all year long. And so the fact that they're able to produce right now is a big thing. So speaking of someone who's going to be a part of the Cardinals offense for a long time, at some point, not anytime soon, but at some point, is Mr. JJ Weatherholt, who, Kareem, you can maybe update us on the full slash line here, but there's now 4 straight games, multi-hit games, or maybe 3 hit games. I think it's multi-hit games, though. He just walked to get on base again. Again, the Cardinals were aggressive, quote unquote. All right, yeah, I'd say it's aggressive with their promotion of JJ Weatherholt. They had him skip high A, which kind of sucks because I want to go see him in Peoria some this year, but oh well, he's in Springfield. And I'm not gonna lie, I kept checking in after their first few games, and I was like, man, he's like 0 for 10 right now, for 11. It's not looking good. I don't know how many at bats it took him to get his first hit, but it seems like the floodgates have opened for him so far. He's looking more and more comfortable. Again, admittedly, I don't watch the Springfield games all that much. I have a few different games, watched kind of like a sped up version, and mostly watched his at bats as a whole, and then seen some of the highlights as well. So mostly we're looking at some stat lines here and asking Kareem and those who are watching the games how it's been going. But hey, nice to see your top pick having some success right now, isn't it?
Well, the top pick before ours is having more success. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to see that. I was keeping up with some of those as well. And just because I heard that he was going like 0 for 12 or something, but it's good to see that he's starting to take off. I don't think there's been all that much power production out of him, but I'm sure that will come eventually. He just seems like a more complete hitter than anyone else in the system. And I don't know, maybe he'll earn a spot in AAA at some point if he just keeps staying hot and adjusting to that AA pitching. Because I'm just excited that the Cardinals finally have I don't know. Well, they seem to have a can't miss prospect. Although there have been other prospects in the past that we've labeled similarly that have.
What do you mean by can't miss? I'm curious. I'm not trying to like poke anything. I'm curious what you mean, because I feel like everyone means different things by stuff like that.
I mean, it just feels like a prospect that like it seems like the industry has been high on since the beginning. Where like Walker, obviously, was the number one prospect in baseball at one point, but like he had to work his way up to that, where it seems like JJ's already like he's played what, like 12 games at AA and is already like the top 25 prospect in all of baseball according to most sites, and it just seems like a guy that will contribute at the major league level for like many years, and maybe not all-star potential, but I'm not going to pencil that in, but like a guy that will give you consistently good production. And I mean, we thought that with Carlson, we thought that with Walker, and hopefully it actually works this time. And I mean, we're not done with him yet, but
I mean, there really is no such thing as a true I mean, I shouldn't say there's no such thing. I mean, Paul Skeens, it was like that dude's gonna be awesome.
Well, the Royals have one.
Well, okay, but like even then, it's like wouldn't it be the most shocking thing in the world to me if Caglione didn't work out? And same with a lot of these guys. So it's like I think we get ourselves into a lot of trouble when we look at a prospect and say they're like truly can't miss. But I agree with you in the terms of like in prospect world, JJ Weatherholt feels like a pretty safe bet to be a contributor at the major league level for a long time. What that level looks like, Matt, we'll see. I feel pretty confident he's not going to turn into Dylan Carlson, like the negative side of that. But I feel like it's like is he going to be like Brendan Donovan level, or is he going to be like all-star level? That's the question to me, is he going to be like a good regular, or is he going to be a guy that is truly a difference maker for a long time? So I feel again, like I think Kareem just said it well. It's like, and again, that's why I wanted you to say can't miss, because I think what you just said is what Kareem just said. It's like he is a safe floor to be a productive big leaguer, and in many ways I kind of think that's can't miss, because so many guys don't turn out at all. Now I think other people would use can't miss as in like this guy's Paul Skeens or maybe Jack Caglione, who knows, or Bryce Harper or stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, obviously JJ Weatherholt's not that, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to be Paul Skeens or Bryce Harper. Like there's a reason.
Jack Caglione he has the same velo as Paul Skeens, but whatever.
Man, they just robbed Andrew of another two-way.
They said they were going to pitch him, and they lied. But that's okay.
Time out. I'm pretty confident this offseason they said they were gonna, at the very least, they were gonna wait on it until middle of the year or something like that.
I think they said they were gonna give him a chance. I mean, he's not a major league caliber pitcher, so I mean, I just want to see it once.
Yeah, but I think they were open about they're not gonna they're not gonna have him pitch. But anyways,
like last year, but I thought they said they were gonna give him a chance this year. Whatever, it doesn't.
I think they said like not right away this year, but yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Ethan Holiday ends up being a Cardinal draft pick. A lot of people seem to be cooling on Ethan Holiday, so we'll see about that. Big news though from Chicago. Despite the Cubs like destroying the Dodgers lately,
I didn't watch the game. I don't.
Which
know.
Also, I definitely that meme where it's the guy who's like and the next picture of him's. You ever seen that one before? I think people know it. Yeah, I literally was like that with the Dodgers thing, because I just saw a text that they lost 16-0 or a tweet, and I was like, oh my gosh, the Dodgers lost 16-0. And then I was like, to the Cubs. But hey, I don't think any of us wish injuries on people. So we're not celebrating an injury right now. But it is interesting that Justin Steele was just announced by the Cubs as being going to have season-ending elbow surgery. So that's a huge loss for the Cubs. And again, I hate that. I don't like seeing guys go down. But again, we're looking at the NL Central right now. Cubs are, to me, were the team to beat this year. Still would pick the Cubs to win the division today. But the Cardinals are going to compete. That's a huge loss for the Cubs here. Brewers started off really cold and got back in.
One thing we can celebrate, one of their other lefties has had really bad peripherals to start the season.
I don't know if you want to start saying that, because he's probably going to throw a no-hitter next outing if you don't.
He threw a fake no-hitter last year, combined no-hitter, but
Oh man.
I mean, his fastball run value last year was like one of the best in baseball, and right now it's been bad.
What is it? 3 starts?
Yeah.
4? Like,
I mean, I never understood why his fastball is that good, because he throws like 92. Like he tops out 92, 93. So I don't know, whatever. Shota.
Well, yeah, we'll see what ends up happening.
There was also like some of those numbers might be inflated by a really weird start in Japan where he was just like walking the house. But
that probably That Japan, I get why they do it, but I'm also kind of feel like it ends up not being a good thing for at least one of those teams that goes there and whatever.
Money.
Money. So I guess that if only Americans would watch the game enough to make money as well. But it is cool that they're growing the game internationally. And again, like if a country cares that much about it, especially compared to the United States, you might as well bank on that. So, but yeah, the NL Central right now is it's a really interesting mix right now. The Reds have been playing a little bit better lately. The Brewers have been playing better lately. The Cubs obviously have gotten off to a pretty good start to the year. We'll see what ends up happening. I did think it was hilarious though that PCA declined, or I don't know what the years were, but he apparently shut down a $75 million contract extension. And in my head, I'm like, dude, take the money and run, because all you can do is run and play defense. Like, he is the poor man's version of Victor Scott, in my opinion. But Cubs fans think PCA is the bee's knees and whatever. You can keep your cotton candy hair guy in Chicago. Don't care much for him, but maybe that was mean. But I'm not a PCA
the Cardinals
guy.
lose the Carson Kelly trade. I'm going to call it that now.
The Carson
Kelly is now like has a 1300 OPS. Luke Weaver's an all-star closer. What are we doing, man?
Well, anyway. You did get an MVP season from Paul Goldschmidt, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, and a historically bad season with runners in scoring position, but
yeah,
who's counting?
Oh, man. Hey, the Cardinals today, right now, could have Bryce Harper and Zach Wheeler if they were wise. But
I mean, the Wheeler stuff, I remember that.
It's crazy. Well, I don't know if you read my. Gosh, it ended up being. I didn't realize until toward the end of it. It ended up being 6,600 words. Holy cow! But that thing I posted today, because it's like the ripple effects of some of the decisions they made, where it's like if they traded for Yelich, if they'd waited it out and traded for Yelich instead of Ozuna, it's like you end up getting an MVP that next year, and the guy finished second. And guess what? The Cardinals made it to the NLCS in his second year when he was an MVP with Paul Goldschmidt. Or if they don't, again, I think they would have traded for an outfielder. But if they don't do the Dexter Fowler thing, or if they just like admit their mistake there and own it, like one of the reasons they weren't aggressive on Zach Wheeler was because Ozuna was going to be a free agent, which it's like you let Ozuna walk anyway. So like, why did that matter? And I guess part of it's because they needed Tyler O'Neill and Harrison Bader. But it's like, okay, well, if you wouldn't gotten Bryce Harper or you wouldn't gotten Christian Yelich, then guess what? You could have afforded to trade one of those guys. Well, you could have afforded to anyways, but you wouldn't have felt the like need to like hold on to them and not go get a Zach Wheeler. And so this isn't like one of those things where it's like, oh, the Cubs could have signed Shohei Ohtani. It's like he wasn't going to Chicago, but it's like the Cardinals easily could have traded for Zach Wheeler, and Bryce Harper was basically begging for anyone to sign him for a while. And the Cardinals are one of those teams that apparently he was more than happy to go to if they would make him a good offer. And dude, the dude makes less than half of Juan Soto.
Well, Juan Soto has a terrible contract, but we won't.
He's not a terrible contract. But like he's the one like Bryce Harper. You could put like he's a 25-year-old superstar.
There's the flip side though of what if Stanton said yes and the Cardinals are in a full.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, there is a bullet dodge there.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's like
I'm not too mad. Honestly, I'm more than happy giving up those two for Ozuna than Stanton. It could have gotten a lot worse.
So then with that though, you know what's kind of crazy to me? They were willing to take on all of Stanton's contract and give up those prospects, but they weren't willing to sign Bryce Harper. They had to give up prospects. And they were going to get him. I think that's a lower AAV. It might have been slightly higher AAV, slightly higher. Why in a period of a year and a half were you willing to take on all of Stanton and not acquire Bryce Harper? I don't get it. And then it's like, even you look at some of these things like, okay, you would have had Bryce Harper with Paul Goldschmidt in 2019 and you could have Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt, Marcell Ozuna, and Zach Wheeler in 2019 when you lost the NLCS. And this is not like one of those we're playing fantasy games. This is like, this was on the table and they were like, we'll go another direction. 2022, imagine a world where you have Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt, Albert Pujols in the middle of your lineup.
And Juan Soto.
Well, honestly, you could have gone in on Juan Soto at that point too and had two of the best lefties in the game and two of the best right-handed bats in the game. It's like literally, I mean, as much as Arenado was obviously awesome that year MVP, but like if you're telling me you could have gone lefty, righty, lefty with Harper and Soto and Pujols and Paul Goldschmidt, and that would have been insane. Now, I just don't, I still don't believe to this day the Cardinals really could have done anything to get Soto. Like they would have had to give up something that I don't think people are like, oh, it's Dylan Carlson and Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. It's like, no, it's those three plus Hence and Wynn and Liberatore and probably more if you want to try and match what the Padres gave up. I mean, at the time that's felt insane. Obviously today, years later, it's like, well, was it that big of a deal? But look at what the Padres, look at the Nationals right now. They have James Wood, CJ Abrams, and Mackenzie Gore along with these other pieces. And it's like, for all the people who are like, oh, you just gave up prospects, like, well, it actually panned out pretty well for the Nationals there. So Nationals are right to flex, to try and leverage the Cardinals and the Dodgers to get the Padres to pay up, because that worked out for them. But yeah. But then again, it's like if you could have guaranteed, if you win a World Series in 2022, I don't think any of us care if they're in a full-scale rebuild right now. Because it's like, well, where are you at right now anyways? You're almost there. You're almost a full-scale rebuild. So, whatever. But there's just a lot of things that you look back, and Max Scherzer calling Adam Wainwright and saying, hey, I'll sign with the Cardinals if they get in the ballpark. They didn't even have to match the Nationals offer. They didn't have to go over it. He just said, hey, get in the ballpark of what they offered me. And they didn't even call him. Didn't pick up the phone. You didn't even see what he wanted money-wise. Insane. Insanity.
Yeah. Well, Kareem in the chat, is Luis Gastelum cooked? Because he's been kind of bad. Anyway, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping an eye on the Double-A game, but
we'll see. We'll see.
Thanks, Mo.
So, anything else from the Philly series at all you want to talk about as we close out? They got Astros next, right?
Yeah, I mean the Astros offense. The number I saw was they're 1 point above, the Adam Wainwright's career percentage
per slug.
It's great.
They are. Let's see. Their OPS right now is 629, which is like 25th and 24th in baseball. And their slug is it's risen a little bit, 320, which is 4th worst in baseball. They're like the Cardinals offense from last year. So brutal. I feel pretty good about that. I think they're drawing Hunter Brown for one of those games. I don't remember what the full slate is.
I was told that Gordon.
I knew you were going to do that. Oh my gosh, Sandy, that was a tough one. Gordon Graceffo to Hunter Brown. Jeez.
We should call up Gordon Graceffo to face Hunter Brown that game just to see how it goes.
Oh, that'd be fun. Sonny Gray versus.
It doesn't matter.
What was that? Okay.
So, Eric Petty's starting that day against Hunter Brown. Yeah. So
Brown's been good so far. Yeah. You've got Sonny Gray against Framber Valdez, which again, I think there's one thing about the Cardinals offense right now that I'm still very concerned about is the lefty issue. Is they still really can't hit lefties very well. As a whole, I mean, you had Christopher Sanchez, which again, he's awesome, but he shut them down on Saturday, 5 double play balls, which that's the first time they've done it since 2011. It's like, that's a crazy number. But in general, like, you don't really have a lot of guys you can mash against lefties. And so when you get a Framber Valdez on the mound, I don't feel great about that. But hopefully Sonny Gray can shut down what's been an anemic Astros lineup, and maybe the Cardinals get to Framber and get to that bullpen. Hunter Brown, again, you got Tuesday. No probable pitcher for the Astros yet on Wednesday, but you got Andre Pallante on the mound for the Cardinals. Both teams are 7-8 going into the series. What's your picks? Who you got winning the series, or sweeping, I guess?
I don't have to pick. I feel like every time I pick, it's just bad. Like, it's that. I said we were going to get swept by the Phillies.
Oh, you did? I don't remember that. Okay.
I think so.
I think they'll take 2 of 3 because it feels like this feels like the team's going to do a lot this year, is do like a stretch of good games and a stretch of bad games, and they came off their stretch of bad games, so let's say they get a stretch of good games here. So I'll say they take 2. I don't feel great about tomorrow, honestly, with Framber, but we'll see what happens. It also feels like whenever the Cardinals have a big offensive day, like a big one like today, the next day is kind of a letdown. But not this year's offense as much. They've mostly been able to maintain that. So
yeah, I feel like they've only had a couple of days where the offense has not been great, and they ended up winning one of those games against the Phillies. So
true.
I don't know, and like It's funny that they're 4-0 against, or 3-0 against Skeens, Nola, and Wheeler, and they're like whatever, like losing games to like bad starters. But
Yeah.
man, it's crazy.
It feels like that also kind of feels on brand for the Cardinals offense over the last however many years, where it's like you can hate Clayton Kershaw, but you can't hit no-name lefty who just got called up for a spot start and is going to have 5 career starts, and his first career start is going to be against the Cardinals and be a 7-inning shutout. It's like you can hit Max Scherzer, but then you can't do anything against Kyle Hendricks. It's like, what are we doing? But oh man, hey, I think there's a chance they saw Kyle Hendricks for the last time this year, so maybe the boogeyman's gone.
You don't think the Cardinals and the Angels are going to match up in the World Series?
You know, I'm not confident in that, but we'll see. Honestly, though, if I were a team and whoever's facing the Cardinals next year, I would just, even if Kyle Hendricks is going to retire, it's like, hey man, just come to camp, make the opening day start, and then we'll let you go. Like give us a 1 win on the board. All right. He'd just be a traveling free agent who just signs with whoever. Every 5th day, he signs with a new team to face the Cardinals.
It would be worth it, I guess.
Honestly, he can make a bag if he was going to pitch like that every time, and every team just kept passing him around. That, I'm telling you, that's a brilliant idea. That, imagine if he tried to market himself in the offseason like that.
That would be pretty funny, but I don't know.
I'm just saying, it might as well try. I mean, at this point in his career, might as well try.
Wait, wasn't that the game against Yusei Kikuchi that the Cardinals teed off the Angels?
Crap. I think so.
Because it was the Herrera 3-homer game.
Yeah, but it wasn't off Kikuchi, right?
So.
That was Herrera. Oh wait, Herrera did hit off 2 off Kikuchi, I think, but then he hit this 3rd one off the bullpen.
Yeah. So
yeah, man, it's kind of crazy to think they played this many games and it's only April 12th. The season 13th. The season starts so early now. But
yeah.
Oh well. Hey, I'm not complaining. I love baseball, so keep it coming. But anything else? Any major things you're watching the series? I'll say Framber tomorrow. I think is a big one. Like, can they do something against a lefty starter?
Yeah, and just if they can, the pitching can keep doing good, and a couple of tough Astros starters in this series. So, what the young bats can do against Framber and Hunter Brown, and the Astros have not been very good this year after trading their 2 best hitters, or letting one of them walk and then trading the other one to the Cubs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm excited for it. Hopefully they can keep winning and get back to 500 by the time we talk on Wednesday.
Yeah, which I'll be out Wednesday, but I know you guys will carry down the 4. I'll be on Wednesday is the day I'm going to both a Padres game, and then I'm driving to LA to watch the Dodgers game. So I'll probably only catch part of both games, unfortunately, to make it work, but it'll be cool to check out Petco Park and Dodger Stadium, see Shohei. So very excited about that. And if you're wanting to catch your own tickets to whether it's a Cardinal game or something else down the stretch, early in the year. Wow, we're not close to the stretch yet, but you can use our code NewtNews, and you get $20 off a purchase of $50 or more. So that was nice to use for the weekend. I might have used another email, but I probably should have said that, but it's okay. But yeah, you use that promo code NewtNews to get the $20 off $50 purchase or more. So if you want to get better tickets than what you normally get, again, use SeatGeek and use that code, or you can just again save some money this time. So definitely go check that out. Check out a Cardinal game. You got the Astros. I mean, I know they're not playing well, but you still got talent there, right? You got Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Framber, Hunter Brown. That's some fun guys to go watch. So make it down to Busch Stadium. Go check out the game.
Jose Altuve might be a worse outfielder than Jordan Walker, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's tough cooking for my guy, but it's looking better though. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Dealing the Cards. I guess we'll have to figure out what we're doing for the weekend too, because it's Easter on Sunday. So I feel like most people are probably going to want it. So maybe on Saturday we'll do something, or Monday, but we'll figure it out. So thanks for tuning in as always. Birds on the Farm tomorrow, I think, from Kareem and Sandy. I think Tuesday. I was thinking, I don't know.
They'll be live for the first time, I believe.
Oh, nice. So live on Tuesday, probably, from Kareem and Sandy for Birds on the Farm. Again, we got the Q&A episodes on Fridays too, so you can drop. I would recommend going to the Q&A episodes to drop a question on there, or tagging us on Twitter or something like that. So we'll be back with those this weekend, or again on Friday. I'm guessing Sandy and Andrew will be live on Wednesday. Maybe we can get a guest on. We'll see. Yeah, it's been a fun one. Thanks for talking, Andrew. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, like and subscribe. Again, it helps us out a ton. So if you're listening, and we got like 80, 90 people in right now, just hit the like button. Helps the video out a ton. Comment down below your thoughts. We'd love to hear more, and we'll see you guys next time on Deal on the Cards. Thanks, Wilson.